Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ramat, and in today's video we are making this gown that I shown on the screen, and I'm cutting straight from the fabric. I'm not using paper to cut it, so I'm cutting straight from fabric. If you're interested, definitely keep on watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give my video a thumbs up, and also ring the notification so if I post any video you'll be notified. So I went ahead, I fold my craft fabric into two, and then I use 13.5 for wideness and 17 inches for the length. So from my shoulder to the bust line, I mark 10 inches, 13.5 for the under bust, and then 16 for the length that we are using. So I'm going to use my set square now to roll out the straight line out. After I'm done that, I'm going to mark my shoulder length, which is 15 inches. 15 inches divided by 2, which is 7.5, and come down by 8 inches for the armhole line. So I'm going to rule out a straight line from there to the shoulder line. So the next thing to do is I'm going to mark, come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant, and measure the remaining one and divided it by 2, come in by half an inch. So I'm going to use my curve ruler now to curve out my armhole line. The next thing to do is to mark the bust span divided by 2, mean nipple to nipple. Measure your nipple to nipple. Whatever you get, you divided it by 2. So what I'm using here is 7 inches. You divide this 7 inches by 2, which is going to be 3.5. So I'm going to mark it all the way from the shoulder line, bust line, the bust, and the waistline, and connect the point together. After I've done that, I'm going to tighten my under bust line. From the center front, I'm going to come in by half an inch, and from the side, I'm going to come in by 1 inches. So I'm going to mark the same thing at the waistline. And connect it together, and use my curve ruler to blend it to the bust line. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 8 inches and mark in the sweater's neckline from there. This is a freehand method. So after that, I'm going to tighten the chest line. From the center front, I mark half an inch, and the side I mark 0.7. I'm going to connect it to the bust line. So after I'm done that, I'm going to take in the measurement. Divide your bust measurement by 4. Whatever you get, you mark it. And at the under bust line, divide your under bust line by 4. Wherever you get, you mark it, and don't forget to add the that at the under bust line. Make sure you turn it back. I'm going to measure it and turn it back at the side, and also at the waistline. Divide the waistline by 4. Wherever you get, you mark it, and added the adapters at the waistline. You turn it back at the side. So after I'm done that, I'm going to connect the point together. And I also added 1.5 seam allowance to it. I also connect it together. So this is how the front is going to look like. So let's cut. So for the yoke, I'm going to come down by 4 inches from the shoulder line and the widening of 3.5. So I'm going to mark in my neckline and also blend it to 1 inch that I drop for the shoulder slants. After cutting is finished, this is how it's going to look. Let's move to the back. So for the back, I also folded it into 2 and I'm marking my zip allowance, which I use 1.5 inches. So from the shoulder line, I mark the length, which is 16 inches, and 10 inches from the shoulder line to the bust line, which is 10 inches. So I also mark it. So I'm going to use my set square now to rule out a straight line. So from the shoulder line, I mark 7.5 inches for my shoulder length, and they come down by 8 inches for the armhole length. So I'm going to rule out a straight line on 7 inches that I mark from the shoulder length, and they come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slants. So I'm going to cuff in my armhole cuff now using my cuff ruler. So next thing is to mark our measurement. Divide your bust measurement by 4 wherever you get to mark it. And on the waistline, divide your waistline by 4 wherever you get to mark it, plus 1 inch that, and then 1.5 seam allowance. So I'm connecting the points together. So there's nothing actually special at the back. I'm not cutting a yoke for the back. I'm just using Ankara for it. So I went ahead, I cut it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark in my neckline. I use 3.5 by 1 inches, 1 inches for the length and 3.5 for the wideness. Ahead, I cuff in my back neckline. I also slanted the shoulder. So for the back, at the waistline, I normally come up by 1 inches and blend it to the side. The reason why I'm really doing this is to make the back well relaxed, and if we look it in another way, our shoulder to length for the front and the back is not the same. So let's move to the down part. So I just mark out the savage out, and from there I come down by 8.5 for the hip line in the between this leg. I went ahead and marked my waistline. Don't forget that the measurement that you use at the waistline for the upper part, that's the measurement I'm going to mark at the down part, because everything have to be equal. And I'm not adding any dots at the down part. So I went ahead, I divided my waist measurement by 4, mark it, added 1.5 seam allowance. And then at the hip line, I also divided the hip line by 4, mark it, and added the seam allowance about 1.5 inches. So I went ahead, I connect the points together. What I'm doing now is to mark in the gown length. There are 2 ways you can do it. You can either raise the half length measurement up, or you minus it from the length of the gown that you are using. So I went ahead, I raised it up. That is the way I normally do my own. I raise the half length up and mark the length that I'm using. I'm actually using the Ankara length for it because the person is very tall. By the time I fold in the M line, everything the length is going to be exactly the way I wanted it to be. So at the hemline, I minused 1 inch from the hip line. That's the measurement that I mark at the hem line. So I mark it and mark 1.5 inches for the seam allowance. After I cut it finish, I'm going to fold another ankara into 2 and place the front on top of it. So this is how it is. So I fold another ankara into 2 and I place the front on top of it. So I went ahead, I mark a 1.5 zip allowance before I placed the front on top of it. So I'm going to cut out the back. What I'm doing now is tracing the hip line to the back. At the hem line, at the center back, I'm going to come in by 1 inches. So I'm going to mark in 1 inches and blending it to the hip line. After I blend it finish, I'm going to cut it out. After I cut it out, this is how the back is going to look like. So for the front, for the front down part, I'm going to down by 1/2 inches at the top edges of the down part for the front. I'm blending it right. After I blend it finish, I'm going to cut it out. So guys, this is the end of today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give my video a thumbs up, and also ring the notification bell so whenever I post any video you'll be notified. And guys, please, you can also check my other videos on my channel. See you guys in my next video.